Hello everybody, thank you very much for tuning in today. Today we'll be looking at how to cut a person out and how to cut out hair correctly. We'll be looking at layer masks, refining the edges, the clone stamp tool, the patch tool, how to blend two images together and add a visible light source. I've left the link of the two images down in the description, so please feel free to download them. Once you open the picture of the man in Photoshop, all we'll do is we'll zoom in using Command or Ctrl and Plus, and we'll go to the magic wand tool. We'll click select subject. We'll make a rough selection, and if we zoom in we can analyze and see which part to cut out and which aren't. So you see that in the hand here it's being missed, and also on the cuff of his shirt. So what we'll do is we'll go with the lasso tool. We'll ensure we've got the new selection, or the add to selection, and you'll see that there's a little plus. So what we'll do is we'll just draw it around that so it misses it, also here. And if you analyse the image itself, you'll see that we need to cut out the part where the flower stem and the fingers and the beard and the shirt meet, as well as the hand and the shirt. So if we zoom in, what we can do is with the subtract selection, the third one along selected, we can just go in and roughly paint out the part that we don't want. Ensure that we've got the minus selected, which will be on the subtract. You can use the pen tool for this, which would be my preferred method, but I thought I'd show you how to use the lasso, as that's something we've looked into as well. So you'll see now that the little marching ants, they're right the way around the edges. Same here, we do this part. Ensuring that we get the nice corners. So now if we zoom out, you can see that everything's roughly selected. We've got the hair nicely selected, missed a bit of the ears, missed a little bit here. So what we can do, still while we've got the minus, we can go in and we can deduct a little bit of the detail that's being lost. Everything's looking okay. The finger here, that's clipped a bit, so where we're on the minus, if we click shift and hold it, you'll see the little flicker between them both. So with that held in, you can draw the finger in, just like that. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect at this point because we'll refine it a little bit later on. So once we've got everything roughly selected, the ears being clipped, so I'll just tuck that in a little bit, something like that. And once you're happy with everything, instead of going down here and clicking layer mask, what we'll do is you'll click up the top, select the mask. So if you open this window, yours should look something like this. So what I'll do is I'll go to on black on this drop down here by the view and ensure that the opacity is right the way to 100. Yours may look something like that. What we'll do is just bump that up. I prefer that because you can see the frayed edges and you can see the fringe around all the objects. So on the left hand side, we've got a few options. We've got the quick selection, we've got the refine edge, we've got the brush tool, we've also got object select, the lasso, the hand and the magnifying glass. All we'll be looking at will be the brush tool and the refined edges. So if we go over to the top of the head and we have the refined edges selected, go to the black area, you can see where the brush is. Use the right square bracket to make it bigger and the left one to make it smaller. Find the nice size, which is something like a 5p piece, something like that. And all we do is zoom in. If I can make it a little bit smaller, the brush. And I'm just going to go around the edges, just a little bit of face just to show you what we're doing. Release. And you'll see it'll start to bring back some of the detail. So if we look at this part, you can tell that the hair would have been swooped over. So if we go over that part, you'll see what it'll do, it'll cut the background out below it. Doesn't look very clean at the moment, but this is just the first initial step of how to refine the edge. So if we go right the way around the edges of the hair, ensure that we miss some parts of the skin because you don't want it to interfere. Do the beard. See if you can see a bit better on the beard the way it brings it back, but because the image isn't very high quality, it will only do so much. But I like to not use the crispiest of images. Reason being is, a lot of times is people won't send you perfect images. It will be either off an iPhone or something like that. So you sometimes just got to work at what you're being given. So we'll cut this down, go right around the beard. So ensure that we don't go over the shirt or anything like that. We'll fix that a bit later on. We've done the right hand side, we've done the top of his head, we've done the both sides of his beard. Just need to do the left side. We'll go in there. Let's bring that information out. And if you ever clip it like that and it goes wrong, because you're on the plus at the top, you can click the minus, or like before, you can click option with this sign. If the option is selected, you can just bring that information back. So now we roughly have that selected. If we zoom into one part, which is probably the most identifiable, the top, we can then start to toggle the global refinements. Smoothness, we'll basically just smooth the edges. So you'll bump that up a little bit, we'll keep that to something like 15. The feather, it's always nice to have a little bit of feather just so it's not a harsh cut. So I'll just bump it up to something like 1, keep it quite subtle. Contrast, if you toggle with the contrast, you'll see what that does. So we'll keep that a little bit low. And then with the shift edge, what that'll do is where you've got the marching ants, it'll basically either expand it so they go out further or bring it in closer. So if we bring that right the way down, it'll bring it way too close, bring it too far up, and it'll reveal a bit more of the background. So you want to find a nice medium, but you do want it in the minus because it will then refine it using the computer as opposed to just our selection. So we'll see the white bits, what that'll do is that'll start to cut it out. But ensure that you're always scoping around the image to see how it's affecting everything else. So let's smooth these lines out a bit better. So maybe we bump the smoothness. It works a bit better. Over here is a little bit funny, so if you can go back in again with the refine edge, you just see how that affects it. Maybe down here. But overall, I think it works quite nice with the contrast though. And once you're happy and think it looks okay, all you can do is go down to the bottom where it's got output to. You can click new layer with layer mask, and then you can click OK. So you can see now if you zoom out, using Command or Control and minus, or Command Control and 0, it'll fit to the screen. You can see now that you've got the original background layer and you've got the one we've cut out. So I'll rename that by double clicking the background copy and calling this cutout. Below this I'm going to make a layer so you can see what we've done. I'll be using Command Control, so Command for the Mac and Control for the Windows, Shift and N. This will pop up, click OK. So now what we need to do is we need to choose a colour, so we'll make it black. So if you notice down here in the swatches, if you click D, that will make it default, so it'll be black above, and the background colour on the swatches will be white. And if you want to do vice versa, it can be X on the keyboard. So if we click G, G is for the paint bucket, and if we click over here, ensuring we're on opacity 100%, if not, click 0 on the keyboard, and click once. Now if we group these by clicking the top layer, hold shift and click the bottom layer, which is layer 1, click Command or Control and G, that'll group it. So now, by a click of a button, you can see what we've done. So if we zoom in, you can see what we've done. Looks quite nice. Not perfect, but obviously with certain refinements you can get it tighter and closer. But for this demonstration I think it works fine. We zoom out. What I'll do now is when we've got the group on, ensuring that we've got the black layer, you'll see that there's a lot of pink fraying around the edges. So a way we can get rid of this is if we make a new layer and clip it to the cutout. You can go in with the brush, click option, so we get the eye drop, and you can make the brush smaller, make a selection of the colour of the hair, anywhere in the hair, and if we just start to paint around the edges, just like this. It does look a bit bizarre at first, but it will all be fixed. Choose a different colour here, it's a different tone. Same over here, choose a different tone. Now what we can do is we can look at the blender mode. So if we bring it down, we put it to color, you see it'll completely take that out. So if we toggle the eye, you can see it'll do that. That looks okay for me. You can also see that there's some pink on the frayed edges of the shirt. Using the exact same layer, the exact same blender mode, all we can do is eye pick again and go in, the colour of the shirt, ensure that we've got a grey tone selected, make the brush nice and smooth, maybe bump the hardness up a little tad, just so it's not complete soft. Ensure that we're on the layer 2, which I'll call that colour fix. And then ensure that we're still set to colour, we can go in and we can gently paint. If that's too strong, I thought it was way too strong for me, I'll just make that 50% by clicking 5 on the keyboard. I'll go in and I'll just gently brush around the edges to remove some of the harsh pink edge. You don't want to lose all the tone because no image is completely black or white. So now you've got that, looks pretty okay. You can see that the cut's quite clean. Certain areas you might be happy with. So for instance, you might want to smooth that out. But because we're working with layer masks, the beauty is, if we disable it, it's gone. So if we bring this back, click the brush, click D to make sure you're on default, and then click X to ensure that the colour is black on the top. You can always go in with the brush and simply paint away. So if I wanted to smooth this area out, just go in there and we can paint that away. Just like that. For the demonstration purposes, I'm just going to leave it how it is, but feel free to go in there and any part where you think need a little bit of a fix up, just go in, just give them a little paint. Ensure that you clicked on the cutout layer and not the actual layer itself. So now you've got the basic cutout. You can see that the edges could still need some work, but only ever so slightly. So we go in, bring the hardness down now, and just tidy the ears up. Ensure that we are on the cutout layer, the layer mask. Go in. You can also toggle the opacity in case you don't want to be too strong with how we cut out the edges. There we go. Any other parts, they're quite okay to me. Even the little wispy part there, okay, because it adds to the realism. So, once again, take that away a little bit. And overall, I think that works okay for me. So, what I'll do now, so now I've brought in the image of the background. I've chose like a window, so we can start working with some edge light. What I'll do is so with the background layer in, I'm going to position it, something like that. You can choose whichever way you want, but what I'll do is, because obviously it looks a little bit bizarre, so when it's in the group, it'll be indented. You'll see that the alignment of the two layers are completely off. So if we drag and drop, it's still in there. Don't forget to go below and it'll come out. So with the group, and then that's a man. I'm going to simply go in, zoom out a little tad, click the corner, I'm going to click option, so it pulls from the middle. I'm going to drag out, and I'll drag up to something like that, and then make the background a little bit bigger again. Something like that. So you can see it's a little bit better for the composition. I think obviously if it was too far away, it adds a little bit more detail what we need. So once we're happy with our selection, what we can do then is we can duplicate this cutout layer, or we can click and hold option and drag it up. You'll see that the cursor changed to a double cursor. So then we release it. You've basically brought this original layer without the clipper mask on top. What we can do now, double click the top layer, color overlay, ensure that you're set to 100% black. Click OK, make that normal, bring that to the top. In a shadow, I want to make because the light source is directly behind them, I'm going to make the angle 90 so you can see that it's physically behind them. You zoom in, you can see that it'll start to give a little highlight to the edges. So we can make the distance, and that will basically, if you increase the distance, you'll see that it will start to peek over the top of his head. The choke is how strong it is, so I think the choke should stay quite low. I'm going to set that to normal. And all I'll do then is when I'm happy with the way it's looking, I think something like that, click OK. Now what I'll do is I'll make this a smart object. And like we said before, with a smart object, it's still an existing layer, but if you double click the thumbnail, it will open a new composition. So if I did want to put, say for instance, the blue line down it, go down the bottom, click blue, show the brush is big, click save, then when it saves, go into this composition, the blue line's there. So I'm going to remove that, click save, go back onto the original composition. So now you can see that it looks a bit bizarre, like what have we actually done? But with the blender mode, if we set that to screen, you'll see it's slightly just added the edge lights. You can do this just on a layer and reduce the fill. So that's something we'll look at as well. Same again, drag and drop the fill right the way down, double click, add the inner shadow, and you've basically got the same effect but on two different ways. This is a brilliant way we can look at fill. So if the fill is at 100%, it'll bring back the pink. So that's the actual original layer. But because we don't want the information of the pixels, we just want the outline of it. If we drop the fill, it will basically make this transparent and only allow the layer effects to affect what's below it. I'm happy to keep it how it is. But now what I'll be doing is I'll be removing the tattoos from his hand, just so we can see how much we've edited the actual image. So I'll be zooming in, just move it over a little bit. Make sure we click on the cutout layer, ensure we've got the layer selected and we've got the man clicked. We'll go in with the patch tool, we'll start to draw around the tattoos on his fingers, bring them up. One thing we didn't touch on last time is the clone stamp, which is a similar effect, but I'll show you how you can use the patch tool on the clone stamp. Is say for instance the way the little finger is touching and affecting the pixels here. So if we try and just remove this as normal, you can see that we've got an object in front of it, so it's gonna affect a little smear and fray. So if we move that there, I think that looks okay as a selection. Release, it will do that. You can go in again, then it starts to get a little bit messy. We'll start to keep doing it and keep doing it. So Command or Ctrl and Z to undo. Command and Ctrl and D to deselect. And we'll click here, the clone stamp. Make sure you've got the normal clone stamp. Opacity 100, flow 100, set to normal. What we can do is if we click Option, it will bring up this. Like the colour picker, but a different fashion. Zoom in. And if we choose a selected area, you'll see that when we start to paint, the little crosshair will follow us. So all we need to do is basically paint around the finger, so it creates a break. You can do it whichever way you want, choose any part, as long as it starts to look a bit real. So once you have a basic break, click the patch tool, and then drag up, and then drop. You can see there's a little tiny bit there, but I think that's just because I missed it out. So go in, drag, drop. Same again with the other ones. These should be quite quick and simple. Drag and drop. So once again, we're in control. We can choose exactly what happens. Drag and drop, drag and drop. Same again here. Drag and drop. Same again here. And then lastly, the top one. He's also got one on his little pinky, so we'll take away that one. And then because this one here won't be in shot, we don't really have to move that. So if we move this, ensure that you've got the group selected when you move it, because if you just have one of the layers, you'll mess up the composition. So Command Control and Z to undo, click Man, click Command Control and 0 to make it full screen, and we'll drag back over and place them in the center again. Something like that. What we can do as well is, if yours looks a bit like that at the top, if you click Command, Control and R, that'll bring back rulers. So you can also, using the rulers, fix the background. So if I click the Marquee Tool, highlight the whole background, copy it, we only have this part selected now. So to align that perfectly, you can click V or click up here in the Move tool, and if you click and hold Command or Control, you can drag the edges so perfectly aligns. So put another one in there just so we can rule everything up. That down a little bit. Obviously some walls will not be naturally straight, just based on obviously the curvature of the walls and the cement and stuff, but that will be a lot straighter than what we had. So if we bring that back, you can see the difference. Little things, but aesthetically it does make the composition look and feel better. So with that, what we can do lastly is we can bring a adjustment layer in. We go to curves, and when you open the curves, it's so tempting to just start affecting this line. Oh, this needs to be brighter, that needs to be darker. But Command and Z to undo, so go back on the straight line. And where you've got auto, you can click that. Is you'll click the top, and you'll click auto options. Here, you've got a couple of options. Whenever you click them, it will affect it. So if you click find dark and light colours, you'll click OK with that one. If you toggle that off, it will match the shadows. So I'm a little bit unhappy with the edging. So I'll go into here, and because we're on screen 100%, I'll just reduce that a little bit. Just so it's subtle. Sometimes subtle does work a lot better. And lastly, I'm going to click on the background layer, which is the window. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a visible light behind them. Where you've got the window, I'm going to make a new layer. You can either click down the bottom, or Command or Control for Windows, Shift and N. Click OK. Click the brush tool. Make sure you've got white at the top. Ensure your opacity is 100. Click 0 on the keyboard. Make the brush a little bit bigger. I'm going to click twice. You won't see it because it's behind them. Click V or click the Move tool. Click Option so it drags to the middle. And we'll drag so you see a visible light behind them. So with that, you toggle it on and off. You'll see that obviously the window is letting in some light, so it looks a bit more natural. So click that on. I'll turn that to linear dodge. Always feel free to have a little play with these blender modes, as you may feel that overlay or something else works better. So stick to whatever you want. Color dodge is another brilliant one, but I'm going to go for linear. So you can see that it still doesn't look right, but to tie it in, we need to have some clip and light at the front. So if we duplicate it, Command or Ctrl and J. If we click Option and Shift, that will allow us to free transform it. You'll bring it in so it's a long light, because obviously the windows are quite long. You'll bring the layer 2 above the map but under the curves. You'll see it's gone a little bit bizarre looking. So if we drag it up here, I want to make that screen. And we hold Option and drag this layer from the actual composition over, that will duplicate it. Hold Shift to keep it in a straight line. So now if you toggle them off, you'll see it kind of ties the front and the back. That's quite a quick way to just tie it in. It can also work quite nice when you've got an object in the sun, and if you want to make it look sunny, you can basically bring in a soft brush again, choose a honey kind of coloured yellow, click twice, make the brush bigger, really big, and then put it to one of the windows, and then put it to screen. And you can kind of see how it gives a bit of a summer's day look, with some tweaking and some obviously further adjustments. Bring that back, put that all in a group. And then we can see we perfectly match that. If you've got a lock on the bottom, you can click Option and double click the bottom layer. So what I'll do is I'll bring that layer above, drop the opacity so you can see the actual scale. I'll drop the fill, sorry, either or, and then we can drag out to be roughly match the size, just so we can have a quick before and after. Something like that works okay for me. Drag it back below, put the fill back to 100. So now you can see how you affect it. You can look at other things like airbrushing, but overall I think we've done quite a nice job. I'll get rid of that in his nose. A way to cut out hair, how to define edges, how to bring some colour back after you've got any fringed edges, bring in a light source, how to use the dodge tool, the patch tool, and also make it look quite nice. Hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and thank you very much for tuning in. Give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, give us a thumbs down if you really don't think I should do these. So yeah, thank you very much, have a nice day, hope to see you next time.